guys, what is going on? Blossom is back and welcome back to another episode of Salve Drives. Now, as per popular request, I have moved my camera from the right to the left, but when we get to the tier maker part of the video, I would need to move my camera from the left to the right, but I will do that. And welcome back to another episode of Blossom's Ultimate Upgrade Guide. Today we're working on RQ52. Make sure to check out the first two episodes covering RQ50 and 51. We're doing 52 today, and then obviously 53, 54, all the way to 64, and then we move on to the epics. Now, disclaimer before I begin the video, there is one thing I must stress. What I am saying here, how I'm going to upgrade these cars and how I'm going to be ranking them later is how I would do it. You might do it a little different, but this is how I would do it. In fact, this is how I've done it. So a lot of these cars where I said that, I would probably 323 it, I have them 323 in my garage. Same cars that I said that should be 332, I have them 332 in my garage. So what I'm doing here is I'm giving you my insight. So if you disagree with me, let me know down in the comments below and give good reason for it as well, because I've seen a couple of comments where people disagree and it makes absolutely no sense at all. But if you can point out some reasons, I'm all ears. And once again, if you agree with me, let me know down in the comments below as well. But today we begin with RQ52. Now, unlike RQ51, I couldn't make any super beautiful artwork with the Mazda RX-7s, but what I did here is, as you can see, is that the orientations of the cars are in a pattern. We got the Infiniti Lamborghini and the Griffith looking to the left, and then we have the Acura 645 and the Sport looking to the right, my right. So yeah, that's pretty interesting. I guess I'll try and come up with something creative every time we choose 6 cars. If not, for RQ53, you guys can comment down below what 6 cars you want to see in there. But anyway, let us begin with 969. So everything here is pretty fundamental, pretty pedestrian, right? We have all the all-surface tire cars and we have some of the standard tire cars. Now, once again, as I've said throughout the series, every car here is 52. If you see some cars here that's 55 or 53, that's because the pictures are a little bit outdated from Top Drives Club, which is where I sourced the pictures from, but they are all 52 in the game as on the date where this video is published, basically as of 14.2 JPT. So yeah, pretty pedestrian, all surface tires, all standard tire cars, basically ultra rares that you want a 969. The only one which may raise a couple of eyebrows is the Alfa Romeo Tipo 33 Stradale. Now, why 969? Now, one thing I want to stress is that for the Alfa Romeo, I'm going to go back, for the Alfa Romeo Tipo 33, this is a car that you want to have 2 of. You want 2, but the main reason why I put the Alfa Tipo 33 in 969 is because I would 969 the first one and then 699 the second one. So since I would 969 the first, I'm going to put it under 969 because this video is kind of making it in a way where you can only get one of each car kind of situation, like bare bones kind of material. I would 969 the Tipo. Why would I 969 the material, the Tipo? As you can see right here, I put it against the slalom test, against a lot of its cars in its niche. And a lot of this series is talking about niche. I remember seeing some Reddit posts and someone commented, all Blossom does is think about niches. Well, the thing is, the entire point of this series is to look at every single nook and cranny and to look at every single niche. I do think in niches for this series because the opposite of niche is general, it's broad, right? And if you want to look at the great cars, the best cars in a general, in a broad sense, I've made Blossom choice. I am trying to get every avenue here to help you guys. So Alfa Romeo, as you can see in the picture, I put it all in slalom test against its competition, and as you can see, it only loses to the Forenza, which is a prize car, much higher RQ as well, 7 RQ more. And as you can see, it is able to tread water with higher RQ cars like the Birdcage, the Aston Martin. Well, it ties with the Aston Martin, and it also beats the Porsche, which is very interesting. It also beats the Martini. I didn't put the Martini in this list, but it does beat the Martini. The Alfa Romeo Tipo 33 Stradale is incredible on the slalom. It's incredibly lightweight. That's the thing. Although the handling only hits 87, it's not like the 90s, like the Lotus Elise, and it will never be able to compete to cars like the Lotus Elise or the OPC Extreme. But in its niche, in that 60s, 70s, pre-60s niche, it's a really good slalom car. And I wanted 323 it because I'm really just capitalizing the slalom on this thing. But like I said, this is a car you want 2 of. Obviously, 233 you can put on a twisty circuit, on a twisty road. This car has better MRA then cars like the Lotus Elise and the OPC, but it doesn't have as good of an MRA as all the cars in the screenshot, like the Birdcage, the DB3S, and of course the Porsche 911. So it is not really a fast car. It's more of a twisty car than a fast car. Moving on now to 699. These are all of the ultra rares that I would 699. As you can see here, once again, it's pretty fundamental stuff, right? A bunch of medium ground clearance cars that handle pretty well. I mean, the good thing here is that there isn't a single medium ground clearance car in this list besides the Jag that is under 80 handling. We'll talk about the Jag later. The Jag sucks, but everything else is pretty fundamental. The only thing that might once again raise a couple of eyebrows is the Acura RSX. Now, the Acura RSX, some people can say switch the Alpha and the Acura. If you say that, you know what, that's completely fine. That's how you would do it, and I would condone that as well. But like I said, this is how I would do it. I would 223 an RSX, and I would 323 a Tipo 33. You might think I'm crazy, but once again, I play a lot of clubs, and I have to say the Acura RSX is kind of a standard tire car I like to use in the dry. So whenever there's a standard tire event where there's no rain, I like to use the RSX because it has medium ground clearance and it has the same handling as the ELR. If you think about it, it's just like an ELR with more top speed and medium ground clearance. That's what the ELR basically used to be, because the ELR used to be medium. And of course, once again, if it is a rain event, I'm not going to want to use a rear-wheel drive standard tire car anyway. I would be wanting to use a four-wheel drive standard tire car. So at the end of the day, the Acura RSX isn't even that great of a wet car, so I might as well just dry spec it and use it specifically in standard tire events with no rain. It happens. We've seen it in clubs a lot, and we've also seen it in multiplayer events. I personally think 233 Acura RSX is the way. It truly is. If I had a second one, I would 233 it. Now I know what you're thinking, Blossom, you have one already. Why is it 323? The main reason why my current one is 323 is because I needed to do that for the Fat Final. That's why. And that was all rain. I needed to do that because that was the best car, or like it was like better than the Infiniti G35 or whatever. So I had to do it. But if I got a second RSX, I would 233 it. I would dry spec it. I think it's better. You can get more value out of the RSX in the dry than the wet, because at the end of the day, rear-wheel drive standard tires, the only rear-wheel drive standard tire car that genuinely gets a lot of value, okay, there's two. I can think of two. Infiniti G37 and the Caterham 7270. Those two. You don't need anything else, right? So anyway, this is my 699 list. And last but not least, we're going to move to 996. 996 pretty simple. Only two cars. Lamborghini Countach LP400S and the Griffith 4.3. The Griffith is here because of its low 0 to 60. The Countach is here because of its great MRA. Just not as good as the Countach. So what's the point of even keeping that? But it's there. And last but not least, duplicates. So like I said, the Alfa Romeo Tipo, you want to get two of those if you can. The first one I would 969, the second one I would 699. You can flip it around if you want, that's completely fine. And of course I would get duplicates of the Volvo V90 because it handles well for its RQ, medium ground clearance, and four-wheel drive, and then we will get the Subaru Livoric and the Kizashi. Now, the Livoric is better than the Kizashi in almost every way, shape, and form, because handling means everything when it comes to the wet, and these are cars that you're not going to put on the drag anyway, but I think at the end of the day, both of them are going to be completely useful. One bad thing about the Livoric is that it's 2021. We never ever see 2021 events in top drives, let alone 2020. So the Kizashi might be more relevant in terms of its year, but the Livoric is the better car. So with that said, let's get into the tier list. Boom! And we are back to the tier list. As you can see, I have moved my camera so you can see the entire tier list in its entirety, beauty, whatever it is. And as you can see, the ranks are all the same as they will be with the series. Priority 1 is basically cars that you should get for any player. Priority 2, most players should look out for it. Priority 3, intermediate players. Priority 4, advanced players. And hot garbage are for the collectors. Now, one question that I did get is, Blossom, I categorize myself as most players. If I get the Ford Focus and I have nothing else, what should I do with it? I would fuse it. I wouldn't fuse it right away. I would just put it in the fuse pile. It really depends. You know, if you want to gun for price cars, then I would put it aside and fuse it. But if you truly think that you don't open a lot of packs and you don't think you can get a Clio or a car that's better than the Focus, then invest in the Focus. It really goes down to how many packs that you actually open and where you kind of see yourself in the game. But anyway, starting off at priority 1, we talk about the Tipo, the Livoric, and the V90. These are all cars that I would keep duplicates of. The Tipo is amazing in its niche. Like I said, said, it's not really in the Italian niche. It's more, and it's not really in the ultra rare, like low end niche. It's more of in the 60s and 70s and pre-60s niche. That's when you need it, and it's a really good car for that. Levorg is, in my opinion, probably one of the best ultra rare standard tire cars for the low RQ. I mean, when you think about it, it has the same MRA. Not the same MRI, sorry. It has the same handling with a lot of epic standard tire four-wheel drive cars. Like when you think about it, 79, that's the same as the Volkswagen CC, which is RQ73, I believe, and the Cadillac CT frickin' 6, which is RQ79. So they both share 79 handling, which is amazing. That car also won me the Viper. And then last but not least, the Volvo V90 is one of my favorite, I would say, hybrids. It kind of just hits all of the mark, right? The handling, just enough. Medium, four-wheel drive, 0 to 60, just low enough. It's okay for its RQ, and the top speed is kind of irrelevant because it's in a drag car anyway. And then when it comes to priority 2, these are the priority 2 cars in my opinion. The Kizashi would be priority 1 if it wasn't for the Levorg. Like I said, you are still probably going to get uses out of the Kizashi, more uses out of the Kizashi than the Levorg because of its year, but at the end of the day, Levorg is a better car. The Kizashi has better niches. But in the end of the day, I would have to give it to the Levorg in priority 1. Other cars that I would give to priority 2 would be the Infiniti G37, the Renault Sport Clio, which I think is the best medium ground clearance car for RQ52. It's better than the Focus and definitely better than the Cooper. Now, when I talk about city streets, I always mean vanilla city streets, right? I'm not talking about, Ocean City streets or Monte Carlo city streets. No, I'm talking about city streets medium, city streets small. The vanilla, the most common ones that we always see. Obviously, that's not to say that we don't see Ocean City streets and Monte Carlo, but the most common ones are indeed small and medium. And then the two TVRs also make up the priority 2 slots. I do like the TVR 5 Series V8S. It's a great little kind of all-rounder. It has a low 0 to 60. It's lightweight. It has the convertible niche. And the handling, once again, it's okay. You know, it'll hit 87 handling. This is a car that I like to use if I only want to lose by 50. It's not going to win you much, but it'll only lose by 50. And it's good in that sense. And I like to deploy it on like fast circuits when the RQ is low. And then next up is the TVR Griffith 4.3, and finally the Acura RSX. Now moving on to priority 3, we're gonna have the BMW H2R. This is a car with really high top speed. The handling isn't too bad. 0 to 60 is so-so. The problem is the MRI on the H2R isn't that great. The Focus ST is actually a pretty good car. It's just that I would always use the Clio over the Focus, and that's why the Clio is one tier above. And finally the Lamborghini Countach. The thing is, right, if you look at just RQ52 as a whole, the Countach doesn't look too bad, right? It is the best car in this entire list for the Test Bowl, and it's probably the best car for the 1 mile. The problem with the Lamborghini Countach is that it is worse than cars lower in its RQ, namely the Purple Countach, the Thanos Countach, and the Charger 3, which are both RQ51. So for those two cars that have served as reasons to why the Lamborghini is in a lower rank. Now in priority 4 is for the advanced players. These are the cars where you're barely going to get any value out of, but in very niche circumstances you may get some value out of, would be the Crossfire and the Firebird. Both of them basically share the same stats. They're both, well, I was going to say both GM nightmares, but the Chrysler is Mopar. The Mini Cooper, once again, it's like my bottom choice medium ground clearance. I mean, we don't even talk about the XJR. The Jaguar XJR is just so far out of the conversation. The Maserati Ghibli, the Tribeca, and the Enclave. Now, the Enclave handles very well. The problem with the Enclave is that it's incredibly heavy, and with the Tribeca, it's a Tribeca. I mean, the handling honestly isn't too bad, and it is quite lightweight, but they're both mediocre cars, and there are better options in different RQs. And then last but not least are hot garbage, all right? We have the Infiniti QX60 all-wheel drive. This thing, I mean, it's a lost cause, all right? If you give me an SUV with 4-wheel drive all-surface tires that doesn't handle, you're out the window. It's the same thing with the Rover Sport. Both of them are 70 handling. As you can see, there's a trend here. The BMW 330d, also out the window. It's an incredibly worse version to the Acura RSX. I would take the RSX any day. Handling is so goddamn important in the game. Because at the end of the day, both the RSX and the 330d aren't drag cars anyway. So what are they if they're not drag cars? They're twisty cars, or if not hybrids. And honestly, the 330D with 73 handling, that's not even classified as a hybrid car. The Jaguar XJR is hot garbage as well. It's medium ground clearance, and the 0 to 60 is relatively low, but the top speed is very average, 155. No MRA, no handling. What are you gonna do? Maybe you can deploy it on the Monte Carlo. Maybe you can deploy it on Ocean City streets, but it's still not gonna be the best car by a mile on those two track sets. Yes, it might be able, maybe, to beat the Clio. I need to test that, but I haven't. But I don't honestly, I have no faith in the XJR. And last but not least, the Range Rover Sport and the BMW 645 Ci. Once again, man, what are you doing? I know the 645 Ci has a little bit of MRA, but once again, it's not a high top speed, and the 0 to 60 isn't low, and it doesn't really handle it anyway. So that's going to be my list. That wraps up hot garbage. Let me know if you agree or disagree with RQ52. Once again, RQ52 overall isn't much of a banger. 51 had a lot of bangers. 52, not a lot of bangers. A lot of average cars, and then, like, you know, I would say the Lavore is like the best RQ52 of the bunch. But anyway, I hope you guys have a great day. I hope you found this video useful and helpful. Remember to stay safe, wash your hands, and consider subscribing if you haven't already. Blossom out. Peace.